What actually happens when there's food shortages in society? Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. A lot of people talk about food shortages. Big talk right now, big concern. I like concentrating more on the what can we do about it to prepare ourselves, but let's have a talk. Let's talk frankly about what happens when a society experiences things like food shortages. I've been all around the world. I've seen firsthand what happens when there's food shortages, when people have to wait in long lines for food, when there's hyperinflation and they can't afford food. I've seen, societal collapses, or where it's just the norm, where times are lean, droughts, crop failures, all kinds of things. You guys can basically assume and figure out what happens. Society breaks down. There's a lot more criminal activity, right? So, speaking of that, I want to go into a little bit later in the video, what can we do about that? Because I like not just concentrating on problems, but coming up with solutions to those problems. Because if we just talk about problems and concentrate on problems without any solutions, then where are we? We're just worried. We're worried, we're concerned, it's stress, whatever. The best thing to do is if you come up with a problem or an issue, figure out solutions to that. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's talk about what happens. When people obviously are hungry or they have less, it is much more difficult in society. There's increased theft, of course. There's increased crime. So, security and defense is important. But if you are spending more time on security and defense, then you have less time to, say, grow your own food. In a lot of countries where I've seen this happen, they're a lot less industrialized than we are. They're a lot less reliant upon technology. They're a lot more akin to agrarian style society, which is people growing their own food, farmers, ranchers, stuff like that. They're a lot closer to the basics, which helps mitigate the effects somewhat for them. If we had food shortages in this country, it would be way, way worse than in a third world or second world nation, because those people are a little more used to it, or the expectation might be in their back of their, even if it's in the back of their brains, it's still there. Here in America, we're so spoiled. We are used to overflowing grocery store shelves. We are so used to abundance, and we're so blessed with abundance. In those other nations, a lot of people, they have gardens. A lot of people grow at least some of their own food, raise animals, or chickens running everywhere, and pigs, whatever it is for the specific country, climate, stuff like that. But they are much closer to the land, much more used to having to grow their own food, raise their own animals, barter with their neighbors. We're not used to that here. So the effects, it'll get a lot more ugly here than in those countries. Venezuela comes to mind, right? You guys, I wasn't in Venezuela during the recent thing, okay? Not saying I was. But we saw it on the news, we heard about it, we heard people talking about it, we saw it in social media. We saw the people suffering there. And that is one of those third world countries where people are much more equipped to deal with situations like that. Think about the average American, walking around like zombies on their cell phone, going to Starbucks, spending $6, $7, $8, whatever it is, on one of those frou-frou, latte, creme brulee, whatever things they are. And people complain about gas. They complain that gas is like almost $5 a gallon or over $5 a gallon, yet they're spending, they're buying at least one, if not two, or maybe even three of those $7 latte thingies every day. So they're spending, $7 to $20 something on their lattes, yet they're complaining about $5 gas when it takes them maybe a gallon or two to get to work. So you're talking, it costs them $10 to get to work in fuel, if that. Probably not even that. I'd say a gallon, average maybe. Commute time, I don't know, depending on how far you commute. But anyway, say $5 to $10 in fuel a day. Well, they're spending double that in lattes every day. So just stop drinking those stupid things, or make them yourself. Sorry, stupid things. That's being judgmental. I shouldn't be judgmental. If you like those kind of things, it's free will. Go for it. I try not to be judgmental. He is the only judge. I give honor and tribute to him. And I got to reel myself back in sometimes. Don't be judgmental of others. Just love others. But yeah, love goes out the window when you're hungry. And Americans, if they don't have access, I mean, you may have seen the effects of the way people are acting, just the air. What does the air feel like? The angst, the worry, the stress when there's shortages. Not even really shortages, but just the shelves aren't totally full. And maybe some items, there are shortages. Look at toilet paper. Look how people freaked out about toilet paper. And there literally were fights over toilet paper. I mean, come on, seriously? In these countries I'm talking about, a lot of them, those people don't even have toilet paper. We are much less equipped to deal with food shortages and all the other things that may be coming down. I'm not saying necessarily that Americans are going to go hungry. I don't think it'll necessarily get to that. But if it does, we're going to be in a world of hurt. So let's talk about solutions. I like talking about solutions because, like I said, it'll be way worse than here than it was in Venezuela or anywhere else. Because Americans will freak out when they don't have the abundance that they're so spoiled with. We are spoiled. We are blessed beyond measure. There's no reason why anybody in the United States of America should ever go hungry. With all the fertile soil, with all the fertile land that we have to grow food, to raise animals on. It frustrates me when I'm driving around and I just see these lawns and people aren't growing food, no gardens. I love it when I drive through certain areas, and you see a majority of houses have at least a little garden or a greenhouse or a chicken coop, stuff like that. Love it. I love it when I see that stuff. We have a huge potential for growing food. Here in the United States, we could feed the entire planet with the land that we have very easily. But we have short food, blah, 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 blah. See, I don't edit my videos, so you get to see that. We have shortages in fertilizer that's going to affect crop production. We have shortages in hay that are going to affect, I talked about in yesterday's video, that we're going to talk, that'll affect animals and feed and lots of other stuff. Increased fuel prices will also increase the price of food and all other goods because they're all shipped via truck. Farm equipment runs off diesel. I don't know if you knew that. I hope you do. But yes, so all these things will be affected. So what do we do about it? Other than the stuff that I talked about yesterday and that I talk about all the time in my videos, growing your own food, raising your own animals, stockpiling food and water, it'll be a much more dangerous world. So security and defensive stuff. Predominantly, I mostly talk about that on Patreon. Links in the description below. It's $1 a month. Hundreds of exclusive videos there. Content out the yin-yang. But if you don't want to go there, it's okay. I understand. And Patreon isn't the best. You know, there's some stuff going on. But it is what it is. It's more akin to a free speech zone than YouTube is. So that's why I'm there. But security and defensive. Be thinking about things with a security mindset and a defensive mindset. Have those tools. Have defensive tools. Get defensive training. Have defensive kit, meaning that stuff you wear on your body that protects you and enables you to do the things. Yeah, that's important, but training is more important. Get properly trained. There are lots of defensive training schools, academies, places to go to get training. Everything from the basics of how to operate, handle, clean, work on, take apart, put back together, defend yourself, defend others, all the way up to more advanced things like moving as a team, communicating, working together, patrolling, all that kind of stuff. There's a broad range of schools. That's money well spent. More well spent than buying a super expensive defensive tool versus a less expensive defensive tool. Get good quality tools that will work, that will protect your life or other people's lives when necessary. But it's not necessary to spend a whole bunch of money on it. Spend what you need to, but get good quality. But training is more important. Oh, there's that big bird that landed here the other day. So we got this bird that landed here the other day. I think it is a Eurasian ringneck dove. It's pretty big. It's the biggest bird that we've had land in our yards. We got all kinds of chickadees and robins and stuff, but this bird is probably, yay big, a little bit smaller than a chicken, or like a smaller chicken. Because I looked it up and it was about a 12-inch body with a 21-inch wingspan. And that, I think it is. But anyway, side topic. I just wasn't sure if I was going to ever see it come back. Think about your property, your apartment, your house, through the eyes of somebody that is trying to get into it, to cause you harm, to take your things, to steal your things, to steal your crops, whatever it may be. I do talk about that on Patreon, how to do that kind of stuff, how to set up a security perimeter. This is, like I said, if this goes that direction, things are going to get ugly. And with defunded law enforcement out there, and the massively increased crime, they're going to be overwhelmed. They're not going to be coming. You call 911, they will not be coming. Especially if it's just a theft, or somebody on your property, or somebody causing problems, or causing a ruckus. Now maybe if it's a high threat, or something's gone down, then they may come eventually. You need to be able to protect and defend yourself, your family, your property. Working together with your neighbors is a good thing. Setting up a neighborhood watch style program. Watching each other's back. But key is getting training at whatever level you feel necessary. Wherever your skill level is, get the training that will enable you to be better and give you more of an ability to protect or defend your family, your friends, yourself. This is key. Yeah, if things like that go down here in the U.S., like I said, it's going to be ugly. I'm not doing this out of fear. We prepare at a peace of mind, not out of fear here. We don't worry. We are unafraid. But concern is okay. I am concerned about different things. That's why tribe is very important. I talk about tribe often. I have a tribe, good tribe. We come to each other's aid anytime we need. That will become extremely vital if it heads in this direction that I'm thinking. And when the people that are talking about this kind of stuff, these food shortages, when those people are talking about it, it's time to take it seriously. So please, get your stuff squared away. I talk about seeds all the time. Very important, both kinds though. The kind you plant and the freedom seeds. Make sure you got at least some, you got to be able to protect yourself. I think you guys get the point. Let me see, where are we at in the video? Let me see, 15 minutes. All right, I don't want to drown on and make this video boring. I know I didn't go into very specific type stuff because we all live in different areas. You have a different setup than I do. Maybe you live in an apartment, whereas I live on property in a rural area. Maybe you live in a city. Maybe you live in the desert. Maybe you live in a frozen tundra. Maybe you live where hundreds of miles from anybody, or miles and miles where nobody's going to come threat. Who knows? But this will affect us all. That's why my predominant thing is growing our own food, raising our own animals, providing for ourselves. But secondary to that is the ability to protect and defend it. Very important. Take it seriously. Remember though, peace of mind, not fear. We are unafraid. We trust in Him. We do our part. And we stay positive. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.